Hello everybody, here I'm back with Offensive à outrance, La Lorraine. This is now the end of turn 3, and a lot of stuff has happened. Up here you can see, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. That here in the area of the 2nd French and the 6th German army, you can see that there are quite a lot of areas where you have combat efficiency losses. The Germans have been battered quite badly. They have not been able to recover anything, because in order to recover you have to be a certain amount of hexes away from the nearest enemy unit, which simply wasn't possible for them to achieve. The French have attacked various stacks here. This is a French stack that was going to recover some of its combat efficiency loss, but as you can see, it's too close to the enemy to be able to do that. So it would have to basically move even further west. Maybe I can do this next turn. The French have also lost combat efficiency in this stack, but not as badly as the Germans. Down here, however, in the mountains, the Germans have been the French have been, in the beginning, the French were doing quite well because they managed to breach the German front line. They managed to go through this mountain pass here. And managed to get a stack up here. The problem is now this stack is isolated, so they are out of supply because they cannot trace supply to this unit down here. First of all, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be 5 hexes, so that would be fine. The problem is that there is an enemy zone of control in here, and unless I managed to move in here, it's not going to happen. So we'll see how that works out. However, the Germans have counterattacked. As you can see, this French stack has lost combat effectiveness. So has this German stack. However, the Germans eliminated a French isolated unit in here which couldn't retreat, because the French would have had to retreat behind the lines, and there is it wasn't possible to do this because it was isolated, so it couldn't make it. So yeah, the French, it was an acid unit. Well, it doesn't even have a name. It just has a place where it's position 5071. So that one is a goner. It was a very weak unit at that, but still, they were down 1 unit. You don't get any victory points for that, by the way, at least not in this scenario. With regard to victory, I think we're not going to achieve one. I think this is going to end in a stalemate, because the 2nd French army has abandoned its strategic plan, which now means that the Germans' 6th army strategic plan comes into effect, which is to take Toul and to take Épinal, and unfortunately that's not going to happen. Just to give you kind of like the macro view of it, this is Épinal. So the 2nd army would have to come down all the way here in 1 turn, which even from a distance point of view is not going to happen. And Toul is over here, so they would have to go all the way over here and attack. But, you know, of course, there are the French here, and they would have to get through there, and that's also just not going to happen. I think in order for this to be achieved, you would probably need rail movement just in order to move further up north to come down here, which you can't because there's no rail movement in this scenario, or breach this gap here, and the Germans would still be stuck in North Sea because that's where I lined up French forces. So it's going to end in a stalemate, but that doesn't really make any difference because this is about learning how to work with the different units. And I've already spotted a mistake that I made earlier with regard to supply. So I really have to watch that one because I had a supply depot and it was in an enemy zone of control, and that can never happen, you know, unless they are stacked with another unit, which they weren't. So so now the next would be the interphase, the first interphase, and then one more turn, and the French will get one garrison unit for Toul, which will basically seal the fate of any plans for Germany to invade, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread out up here. Epinal is too far for them to reach anyway. Even the Second Army couldn't make it, and also even the Seventh Army couldn't make it. And the Sixth Army can never get down here in time. So yeah, it's so far it's looking really good, but it's also, what I want to point out, really enjoyable. It plays really nicely. A whole turn usually takes about, I would say with this small amount of units, 30-40 minutes, depending on the amount of fighting that you do. Fighting isn't advisable because usually it ends with not very many results. The forces are quite evenly matched. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing next weekend how this pans out. And then I will go on to the second scenario, which plays with two maps, and this one is called The Race to the Sea. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'll upload this and talk to you soon. Bye.